Hello and welcome back to It's What I Do. Not a lot going on today. Got to do the filters because they've not been done for about 5 days. But I wanted to show you the difference on the pond after taking out the retro bottom drain. So I need to spin you around and show you this, and then I can start cleaning it out. But I wanted to show you this. Second thing I want to talk about is the current topic of Costia, and just a few bits and pieces with that. And then whatever else I decide to waffle about. So let me spin you around and I'll show you the state of the pond. 1 second. Try and show you this without the reflections of a can. You can see the amount of leaves that are on the top of the pond, but down here, I'm not sure if this is going to show up. You can't see that very well, but that's full of crap around by the pump. Let me see if I can get something to shield it. 1 second. Right, I'm trying to shield the reflection with an umbrella so you can see that. But if you can see down there next to the pump, it's absolutely full of crap. Can you see? I can't tell from the screen whether you can see it or not, so I trust you can. But yeah, it's absolutely full of crap, which isn't good. Yeah, so as you can see, that's not ideal. That's the reason why I put the retro bottom drain in the first place. Excuse me. Was to try and keep the bottom of the pond clear. So obviously I need to do something and get that put right. Terry Wright actually sent me the plans to make his sieve, which I was really appreciative of, if I can say it right. So thank you very, very much, Terry. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to use that on this current pond, purely because I've got very little room around the pond to actually put something like that, and obviously it's got to be below water level, so I'd have to dig a hole to put it in, and I just haven't really got room around here at the moment to do that. Plus I'd have to buy the materials and try and practice with the plastics welder, because the only time I tried that I made a right mess of it. But I do have one, so it's something I would like to get into. It's just the cost of it. That PP is not cheap. It's not cheap at all. And just to buy it to practice, it's just something I can't afford at the moment. It cost me a small fortune. What I have done, one of the guys, and I'll find his name in a minute, one of the guys suggested a pool filter or a pool pre-sieve. So I've managed to get one of those. I've ordered it. It's coming towards the end of the month, and when I get that I'll show you it and show you what it's like fitting it and whatnot. But until then I'm going to have this crap in the bottom of the pond, which isn't good. So I need to get the hoover out as well and hoover it up. Now the hoover that I've got is very vicious. It's really powerful, and it sucks up at a hell of a rate. Well, I'm going to try one of the vary switches, see whether I can reduce that. Might work, might not, but it's worth a try. So I want to reduce it and see whether I can use the hoover without creating too much of a mess and sucking up too much crap. So I'm going to do that as well. But first off, I'm going to scoop off all these leaves, clear up all around the sides, and then we'll go from there. Weather today is nice. Nice bright blue sky, and it's quite warm. So yeah, weather's quite good. Right, I'm gonna do this, and then I'll come back to you in a little while. So back in a minute. Oh well, that won't work. These Vary plugs, they're only rated at 300 watts, so you can only put something in there that's sort of less than 300 watts. Unfortunately, the vac is 1400 watts, so that'd be too much for it, and I'd risk burning it out, so I'm not going to do that. So it'll be using the vac as is, which is a shame because it doesn't blow some water through, and you pick up a lot more water than you do rubbish, if you follow what I mean. Which is what I was trying to avoid. But hey ho. Right, I'm going to crack on with that, and I'll come back to you in a minute, and then we'll have a little chat about Costia, and we'll go from there. Right, back in a minute. Right, that's my pond all cleaned, hoovered the bottom, cleaned the filters, and topping it up again now. I've also added some FMG because I have noticed my fish have been flicking a little bit, and as we're coming up to winter and the covers are going to go on, I wanted to give it a dose just to make sure there wasn't anything in there. So yeah, just topping up in a minute. I did put the FMG in before I topped it up, and I used the full measure. I don't know if it'll do any good, but the thought is it just gives it that little bang of concentrated FMG before diluting it back down to what it should be. Fish don't seem to care. They're perfectly happy, no problems at all. I have turned the air up, but as with any treatment you need to have plenty of air in there, so I've turned the air up. So yeah, got a pretty coloured pond at the minute, like a turquoisey bluey. Yeah. Right, let's have a chat about Costia. Right, so if you watch a lot of koi channels, you'll probably have seen quite a lot of talk going on about Costia, and some confusion over it. Now, I've done a little bit of research, and I'll leave a link to the page that I'm quoting from down in the description. So yeah, Costia, there are two types of Costia, but they're not internal and external. I'll put the names up down here somewhere of what they are, but basically for pond keepers it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever which type you've got. They both do the same thing. They both prey on the fish, both parasites, and we treat them both the same way using well, formalin is the best thing to treat them with. Most people will use formalin and malachite green excuse me, and going on the link that I'm going to add in the description, reading that page, what they're saying there is if you've got gill damage, so if you see your fish gasping at the top, that kind of thing, then the only thing you can do is use salt. Now you add salt at 0.3% at a time, and you gradually increase that up to a maximum of 0.9, and you need to leave it at 0.9 for 72 hours, I think it was, and then slowly reduce it using water changes. Now you only go up to 0.9 if your fish show no signs of distress. So, as I say, the different types of Costia make no difference whatsoever. Costia will live in the gut of the fish, in the intestinal tract, which is why after some fluke treatments you will get an outbreak of Costia. But some of the fluke treatments also act as a worming agent, and it will basically evacuate the intestinal tract, so that pushes out any Costia that's in there. Hence why you get the attack after flu treatment. But yeah, that's the gist of Costia. I know that there's been a little bit of nastiness backwards and forwards, and there's no need for it, guys. There really isn't. None of us are vets. We're not going to get it 100% right all the time. We're going to make mistakes, and we're going to quote things wrongly. It happens. If you're going to do anything or treat anything on your pond, research it. Look it up. Now, I've looked at quite a few different pages on Costia. 95% of them don't mention that there's two types. Largely because it makes no difference whatsoever to us as pond keepers. The only reason you'd be interested in that is if you was a scientist or something. So yeah, it makes no difference. There are two types of Costia, both treated exactly the same way, both cause exactly the same problems with the fish. So yeah, no difference. But there isn't, and I'll make it clear, there isn't an internal and external Costia. They're both the same thing. They just live in both places. So that's the score with that. And yeah, you're not going to agree with everything people say on the internet. I mean, we are YouTubers. We make videos. That's what we do. So because somebody doesn't agree with something someone else says and makes a video about it, that's what we do. We're YouTubers. It's not meant to be offensive to anybody, and as long as you keep it that way and you don't get offensive towards people, then, you know. Do you all agree with me? No, probably not. Is that going to worry me? Not a great deal. That's the way we open discussions, is by disagreeing with one another. As long as we keep it civil, as long as we keep it nice, there's no harm whatsoever in disagreeing with people. So yeah, can't think much else to say about Costia really. It's a nasty little bugger, I know that. Can cause a lot of problems. A lot of the time you're going to have parasites in your pond anyhow, but the odd one or two is not going to make any difference. Won't cause any problems whatsoever. So if you just scrape your fish and find one or two of something, it's not a reason to panic. It really isn't. The interesting thing, take a sample out of your filter box and have a look to see what's in there. It'll surprise you. There's a lot of bugs and shit in there. So yeah, not sure what else I've got to talk about. I can't let you off that easy because that's such a short video. It's got to be a bit longer than that, hasn't it? Oh dear. Right, I'll come back to you in a minute because I want to finish topping up this pond. So I'll come back to you. Yeah, I told you you wouldn't get away that easy. Yeah, I thought of a couple more things to talk about. I don't know if you've looked at his channel, but Ron from Westcliff Koi did a video the other day about growing sticks. I've never had a lot of success at growing sticks. All mine grow leaves, and it don't matter how many times I pull them off, they grow leaves again. Look, see what I mean? There's a nice big stick there, but it's got leaves all over it. Whereas Ron, he's got some perfect specimens. Go and check his channel out and have a look at that. Really has got some perfect specimens. And while we're talking about Ron's channel, I put on there, I put a comment on there about breast screening, a little funny story. Quite a few years ago now, I was out of work, and you have to go to the local job centre and have interviews and such like, and they try and find you work and whatever. Well, I was a manager. I've been a manager for a long time. I'm not now. I took a step backwards and doing something different. But anyhow, at the time I was a manager, so I go for this interview with these people at the job centre, and I get there. There's this middle-aged woman, shall we say, sitting behind the desk, and she starts searching through, looking at different things. Comes up with a few different jobs, and then she comes up with one, a manager at a breast screening centre. So she looked at me in all seriousness and said, do you think that would interest you? So again I looked back at her in all seriousness and I said, well, I'm no expert, but I don't mind having a look. And she didn't bat an eyelid. She did not bat an eyelid. And there's me trying to hold back sort of a laugh, and she didn't bat an eyelid. And I thought it was so funny. So yeah. Yeah, of course I don't mind having a look. Yeah, going on different channels. Mark from Mark's Country Koi, he's now got a website set up, so that will make it a lot easier for you to order stuff for him. I'll put a link down below in that to that. Another topic I want to talk about, copyright strikes. Now my buddy Vince from Twisted Koi has just gone through a bout of copyright strikes, and it took quite a while to figure out what the problem was. Vince couldn't see it, wasn't sure what was causing it, asked me to have a look at it for him. Well, I found it, and it was his intro music. Now somebody very kindly had put his intro together for him, and we all know what Vince's intro was, and you heard that tune and you knew it was Vince, and it was good. Everyone loved it, but unfortunately he started getting these copyright strikes, and when we dug into it, it turned out that you needed to add text to your description, attributing the music to the creator, which is fair enough. But the point of it is, when you're a new channel and you're just starting out, you don't really think it's that important. You're not monetized, you're not earning nothing from it. What does it matter if somebody gives you a copyright strike? Trouble is, those videos are there for life, you know, until you take them down. So if you do monetize at some point, those copyright strikes make a difference. You can't monetize a video that's got a copyright strike on it. The person who's claiming the copyright would get all the revenue from it. So it took us absolutely ages to go through and change all of Vince's intro music and remove it. Luckily there is a tool on YouTube that allows you to do that. It's quite a good little tool actually, but you can only really see it if you do get a copyright strike. So yeah, it took us a long time to actually do that, and Vince is now in the process of trying to select music for a new intro, or to add to his intro. So yeah, don't be fooled by thinking that you're a small channel, it doesn't matter if you get a copyright strike. It does. It will come back to bite you in the butt later on. So if you can avoid it, do so. And if you're going to use someone's music, and not from YouTube itself, always check the requirements. They may say it's free, but there's usually a requirement there somewhere. So always check the requirements and follow them if you're going to use somebody else's music. So a few shout outs. Dave Karma, he's just cladding his pond. He's put some insulation around it and he's just cladding the outside of it. If you haven't looked at Dave's channel, go and check him out. Kirikoi, Brett and Amanda, if you haven't checked out their channel, go and have a look. Tell them Jim sent you. Interesting little channel. Brett's just starting up a small business selling fish. He's I'm not sure if he's actually selling them at the moment or not, or whether he's getting ready to sell them, but by all means sort of check him out, go and have a look. Ask him the question, he might have some for sale. Who else? Popsy's pond. My mate Steve, he's always worth a look, got some good content on there. Mike from Gifter's Koi, another great channel. I'm trying to think of these off the top of my head. Who else we got? Ramsey's DIY, that's a good little channel. Black Country Koi, another cracking channel. Yeah, there's quite a few. I'm sorry, I do struggle to remember channels and things. I should write them down really. That way I wouldn't forget anyone. Try and think of who else. I've already mentioned Twisted Koi, and my buddy Vince. So yeah, I apologise if I've missed anyone. Yeah, you got up north Koi Pond, Si, Kyle Macca Koi, MACKA, I think it is. Yeah, that's Kyle. You know some of the others. Who else? Trying to think. You've got all the normal big channels, of course. No, I can't think of anyone else, so I'm going to leave it there. Finish topping this pond up, go and have a cup of tea, warm up. Although it's not been a bad day, it's getting dark now, but yeah. Right, that'll do for now. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.